Morgan Nick. Alma, Arkansas. June 9, 1995. At 10:45 p.m. on June 9, 1995 in Alma, Arkansas, 6-year-old Morgan Nick was abducted from a Little League ball game by an unidentified man. She was attending the game with her mother and had joined some friends to catch lightning bugs. Morgan was last seen standing near her mother's car where she had stopped to empty sand from her shoes. Witnesses observed a man watching the youngster as she was playing with other children at the park. The witness also saw a red Ford pickup with a white camper parked nearby that disappeared at about the same time as Morgan. The camper is possibly damaged at the right rear, and was described as 4 or 5 inches too short for the truck, which has a short wheelbase and paint dulled by age. The truck is believed to have Arkansas license plates. The man was described as white, 6 feet tall, with a medium to solid build, a mustache and a 1-inch beard. At the time, he was believed to be 23 to 38 years old. At the time of her disappearance, Morgan was approximately 4 feet tall, about 55 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. Morgan had 5 visible silver caps on her molars. She was last seen wearing a green Girl Scout t-shirt, blue denim shorts and white tennis shoes. A massive investigation has turned up thousands of leads, but still no solid clues to the whereabouts of Morgan Nick or her abductor. The FBI and local communities have offered a $60,000 reward for the recovery of Morgan Chantal Nick and the identification, arrest and conviction of subject or subjects responsible for her abduction. The search continues to move forward. There have been numerous possible sightings of Morgan across the United States. Morgan's parents believe that Morgan is still alive and hope that with continued media coverage, someone will be able to provide them with information that could bring their daughter home. Alma Police Department. Fayetteville St. Alma, Arkansas 72921. 47963233333. Morgan Nick Foundation. P.O. Box 1033. Alma, Arkansas 72921. 47963263382. 1-877-543-4673. National Center for Missing Children. 800 THELOST. 800-843-5678. Sarah Ann Wood. Litchfield, New York. August 18, 1993. Sarah's legacy lives on, as a beacon of hope for the thousands of missing and murdered children across the USA. On August 18, 1993, Sarah Wood was abducted a short way away from her home, carrying supplies from Bible school. Her bike was found perched against a tree, and her items were thrown into bushes a few feet away. For years, her trail had gone cold, until one girl in Massachusetts outsmarted her would-be captor. January 7, 1994. Less than a year after Sarah's unexplained disappearance, a girl named Rebecca is walking to school one morning when a man shoves a gun up against her back and demands she go with him. Thankfully, Rebecca thinks quickly and fakes an asthma attack, allowing her to get away from this frightening stranger. The man who abducted her was soon identified as Louis Lent, a local janitor from town who worked at her school. He made the young kids uncomfortable, and students often tried to avoid him. When confronted with the evidence, Louis folded. Lent quickly realized the mounting evidence against him, and confessed to the murder of James Bernardo, a young boy who was taken from Lent's town and found over 180 miles away in New York State. Lent drew a crude map to a location where he claimed Sarah was buried, but thorough search of the area revealed nothing. Lent then recanted his testimony, claiming that he didn't want officials to know where she was buried, as he had another body close by that he didn't want to be disturbed. Regardless of his recanted confession, Lent is in prison for the rest of his life. He was convicted of the murders of James Bernardo and Sarah Wood. Joint FBI and police task forces think that Lent was a serial killer and that he might be responsible for the deaths of at least 6 other children in the New York/MA area, including that of Jamie Lusher. Sarah's parents have worked tirelessly to ensure that her disappearance never lost the public's attention, and tirelessly campaigned to ensure that legislation was changed to accommodate missing and murdered kids. The local NCMEC branch is named after Sarah Ann, and loved ones still celebrate her life in an annual bike ride to Washington, D.C. If you have any information on this case, please call the NCMEC tip line at 800-843-5678. A volunteer to help find missing people goes missing herself. Andrea Knabel. Louisville, Kentucky. August 13, 2019. Andrea Michelle Knabel was a 37-year-old mother of two when she vanished. Andrea was an active member of Missing in America, a group that focuses on finding missing people in the Louisville area. Her family says she had a giant heart and was always willing to help others. They also say she loved her children deeply while being an amazing daughter, sister, mother, and friend. Before going missing, Andrea had fallen on hard times. She was laid off from her job at Humana, and then got into a hit-and-run car accident, leaving her without a vehicle. During this time, Andrea was still living in her home. She had a roommate and was working different jobs. It was when her roommate moved out that Andrea moved in with her mother at the start of the summer in 2019. At this time, Cheryl's home was undergoing bathroom renovations. However, Cheryl was not living at the home during the construction. Sarah and Ethan were the ones helping with the renovations, and decided to stay at the home because they lived over an hour away in Lexington, Kentucky. According to Andrea's other sister, Erin, Cheryl would stop over every evening to have dinner with everyone and check in on the construction progress. Andrea and her boys, Sarah and her fiancé, Ethan, were the ones living in the home. The day Andrea went missing. Andrea Knabel was last seen sometime between the night of August 12, 2019, and the early morning hours of August 13, 2019. On the evening of August 12, 2019, Cheryl brought over Chinese food. While eating, the Cheryl started a difficult conversation highlighting Andrea's recent life choices that she didn't agree with, noting specific poor choices that were setting back Andrea's progress to a new life. Andrea felt uncomfortable being present for the conversation and became more upset when her sister Sarah chimed in to back up the concerns. Andrea was visibly upset with her family, and she excused herself from dinner. After things settled down, Andrea went to McDonald's with her nephew and sister's fiancé, Ethan. After McDonald's, Ethan brought Andrea to the Kentucky One Medical Center for treatment from a face rash around 9:50 p.m. By 11:22 p.m., she was released from the hospital and took a lift back to her mother's house. Returning at 11:34 p.m., Andrea was given a Lyft gift card, but it wasn't working, so Andrea had to use her own money. Andrea couldn't get into the home because she didn't have a key. By midnight, now August 13th, she walked to her other sister, Erin's home, located approximately a mile and a half away. Andrea took a shortcut near a walking bridge. Upon arriving at Erin's home, it was clear that Andrea was still visibly upset regarding the recent fight between Sarah, Ethan, and their mom earlier that evening. Andrea said she felt ganged up on. Erin tried to console her sister and drove her back to their mom's house, hoping the situation would have blown over. On August 13th at 1:34 a.m., despite being driven over by Erin, Andrea still did not have a key to the home and couldn't get in. Sarah and Ethan were inside sleeping, so they never answered the door. This prompted Andrea to walk back to Erin's house a second time. When Andrea arrived and asked Erin if she could sleep over, Erin said no, because she needed to set a boundary. Erin had to work the next day, and her home was also under renovation, so her children were sleeping downstairs during this time. This added to Erin's reasoning for not wanting to let Andrea stay over. After having the difficult conversation, Erin recalls looking out her window and seeing Andrea scrolling on her phone outside and that her temperament seemed more composed. Andrea left Erin's home for the final time and returned back to her mom's house on foot at 1:34 a.m. on August 13th. Per Andrea's cell phone data, she arrived back at her mother's home by 1:54 a.m. It was assumed that she was not let into the home because Sarah and Ethan were sleeping. But, When the pair were re-interviewed later by police, they told investigators that they were awake but didn't let her in because they feared Andrea being too upset from the tense dinner conversation. Even hours later, Andrea's cell phone was still active at 3:51 a.m. pinging around her mother's house. This is the last known activity that proved Andrea was alive and near the house. By the morning, Andrea had vanished. Andrea was last seen wearing a light-colored tank top, white shorts, and light-colored Nike shoes. During this time, the family started to shine on a light on Andrea's disappearance through social and local media. There have been alleged sightings in the Clarksonville, Jeffersonville, and New Albany, Indiana areas around October of 2019. Today, Andrea's case is still unsolved. In 2021, the Discovery Channel released a 4-part docu-series called Finding Andrea, which has brought more attention to the case. Andrea is described as 5 feet 7 inches and weighs approximately 180 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes. Her ears are pierced, and she may have scarring on her face. Erin, Andrea's sister, and her father, Michael, are still actively advocating for Andrea and conduct frequent searches. If you have any information, please contact Louisville Metro Police Department, Missing Persons Division 502-574-7120. There is a $10,000 reward. Date missing: August 13, 2019. Birthday: January 2, 2023. Current age: 0. Age at incident: 37. NamUs number: MP60009. Race: Caucasian/white. Gender: female. Height: 5 feet 7 inches. Weight: 190 pounds. Hair color: light brown with blonde highlights. If you have a loved one you would like featured on my channel, email me at downtimemysteries@gmail.com.